And we're alive. Hello, Elaine. Hello, kind kids. How are you doing?
Hello, Kimberly. I'm doing great, thanks.
Awesome. Well, we're back again. We've had a little hiatus, a couple weeks, but this is our Friday Kind Kids Live, where kindness and staying in our lane and sharing our knowledge is what we're here to do, share our experiences with others. I'm that Kimberly, and I'll be introducing my guest, or she'll be introducing herself here shortly. She can wave. Hi, Elaine. She can wave. Um, we're going to hit some topics today. The theme is inclusion, diversity, culture. We're going to hit categories like marketing, operations, sales, social media, all those fun things that Elaine and I like to debate and save the world on, right?
We wish.
Yeah, no joke. If we knew what we know today back then, man, our
Yes,
lives, who knows where we would be.
that's right.
Um, but we are live on Facebook, on my personal LinkedIn, and YouTube. So please leave your questions in the comments. We will definitely get to them, during the live. And we will be here every Friday because our goal is for these weekly lives to share our experiences with our audience as it relates to what we have learned in our own journeys, in our own careers and education, around operations, startups, marketing, employee culture, health and wellness, and all that stuff. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, big shout out to Laura Lestis for joining us, Carol Andrews, Diana Benitez, and Brandy Walker. So ladies, if hopefully you guys got some good questions for us, and we will be answering them live. So let's jump in. Oh, wait, before we do that, and if you watch on the replay, because replay very, very important, make sure you put where you're watching from and hashtag kind kids for us so that we can see that if you have a question, especially. So with all that, we're going to jump into our conversation. You ready, Elaine?
I'm ready.
Yeah. So tell everyone, give a little bit of context and background of who you are, where you're from, and all that great stuff.
Sure. Well, I wore this shirt with hearts just for kind kids today because I thought it would be nicely representing being kind and loving each other. So
Yes,
we can all use a little bit of that now.
absolutely.
My name is Elaine Delude. I am the Vice President of Marketing with Libby Communities. We're based out of the DC area. I am a mom of 3 teenage boys, and I am married. And
How many years have you been married?
20,
Anniversary.
21. Lucky number 21, not that long ago. So yes, takes a lot of work to make
Yes,
that.
it does.
So it's certainly an accomplishment everyone
Yes.
cherish. So anyways, my mom is Cuban, my grandmother's Cuban. So Kimberly and I have always had this instant Latina bond.
Yes.
It's been wonderful and I treasure that. So super excited to be here to talk about whatever questions you guys have. And I heard Kimberly mention some familiar names in there. So hello to all the people I know.
Yes.
So super excited again to be here and just sharing information, and hopefully you find something that we talk about today helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. And we're going to use our little cards, which I'm going to get handmade, but my little puzzle pieces that I love with my hashtags to start off. If one of the ladies that's joining us, in the comments, if they want to, for the next one, put the different colors, they can put a heart of one of these colors that they see on the screen. But before then, I'm going to let Elaine pick a color of a card and we'll start on that question.
We'll go with green.
Green. Ha-ha. Sales. So, okay, I'm going to propose this sales question as it relates to supplier partner management side, right? And really, this can be used in any context for anyone who's selling to people who used to be face to face and now are gone and moved, remotely. How often do you see suppliers, if at all? And what could you tell them, or tell any supplier that would make both your lives easier? Some advice or some suggestion.
So I think since we've all been under this varying degrees of quarantine, it's really difficult for suppliers. Sit on our local property management association board, And we hear the feedback from the suppliers that, they want FaceTime, they want to try to interact. Well, at the same time, we're just trying to react whatever the newest thing that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Figuring out how, single parents come back to work in whatever format they may be, remotely or in person, when they're trying to homeschool their kids who school is now virtual. So
Yeah.
trying to juggle that and being mindful of that, I think, is always important. I will tell you, like, I've been able to spend some quality time with some newer suppliers when they were able to get my attention from the very beginning. And then when I had more time to spend and look at their product and really vet that out and start looking at it. So I think it's important to have something that's meaningful and relevant to that person.
Hmm.
And every scenario is going to be different, but reaching the decision makers obviously is always challenging, even more so now when you don't have those face-to-face opportunities. But I would look for virtual events in which decision makers could be participating in. For example, if your association's having a trade show, even if it's virtually, to try to figure out how to participate and how to reach those folks, because supporting those associations
Yeah.
at this time is super important.
Hmm.
I think that even now more so, owner managers are valuing the resources. So whether the resources are coming from NAA, NMHC, your local apartment association, we're so thankful that, everybody as an industry jumped on this really fast and gave us information and shared information. As a community, we found that everybody was sharing information. So as a supplier partner, if you've got great information for us.
Yeah. Well, how did they catch your attention? How did the few that you did that you said were new, because, I've known you for going, it seems like forever, but 15, like a pretty long stint.
Right.
We definitely had that instant Latina connection of, of being able to compare, and find things, the same similar things funny due to our culture. But how did you catch, how did those supplier partners catch your attention,
So
without
I think
cold?
they had a product or service that was something that was timely for this situation that we're going in through.
Got
So
it.
whether it be like a virtual product or something that made something easier for our on-site
Hmm.
users, or a new product. Like, there's one supplier in our market, you can't find Lysol anywhere. No, like, you can't. So he took a paint sprayer and invented a new nozzle that you put the disinfectant in and you can spray the whole thing, because none of us can find foggers or Lysol.
Wow.
Something like that, you're like, okay, I need to spend a little bit of time looking into this.
Yeah.
Those
Makes
things aren't available to us anymore like they were.
Yeah, and that makes your life easier. Anything that's making the on-site team's life easier, that then makes your life easier,
Right.
those are definitely things people should be thinking about. And I've expressed to people, I do feel lucky in this time of COVID that I, am not having to worry about a team of people. I'm just having to worry about me and my
Sure.
mom,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and, but like coming up with creative ways to just staying connected with your current clients, can also help you find new clients. I feel
Right.
like, because word of mouth is huge in any industry. It doesn't matter, like you definitely get that referral, or somebody says I know somebody, and not acting like you're just a machine. That's why I don't like to use the word vendor. I
Yeah.
always like supplier partner. But it's true, because we are partners. Like, doesn't matter what
Absolutely.
industry you're in. Like, people buy from people that are knowledgeable, that they like somewhat. You don't have to be best friends with them, but that they like, and they're knowledgeable, and honest, and or that they feel are, that whoever that person is, that is the decision maker.
Yeah,
So
and I think the more you know about the person you're trying to sell to, um, the
help.
easier it will be to create that connection. And I will use an example of something I've used before in the past. I had a PR firm who I love, Linnell Taylor, and they asked me to speak somewhere. And I'm a huge Caps fan. Sad for today because they lost, but um, during that period of time, they knew that, like, I was going to miss some games and stuff, and it was like playoff time. Well, they ended up sending me like a signed puck, right? And
Oh,
this shows that you really understand who I am and
yeah.
what I care about. And the same thing happened. We had an employee who just happened to mention to us that her kids needed new headphones now that everybody's virtual learning. So sent her new headphones for the kids, and the kids were super excited. So again,
Oh, wow.
those little things that you can connect with somebody, and you may have to do a little bit of internet stalking if you don't, know the person.
Yeah.
Personally.
It's just research. Like I always tell people, it's not stalking anymore. Everybody's on
That's right.
Like they're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, like for a reason. Like you can research people because it's better to, I find it, even when people are cold calling me, when they know about my business or, why I would need their product, it makes it and more personable when they present it to me via email, because that's the only way they can get a hold of me, email or phone. Then that I pay attention, because that means they put some thought into it. Yeah. And it takes a few minutes. Like I feel like some of the best people that I know that are in sales, they do their research before they reach out, or even if it's 5 minutes, like something. And listen. I had to learn the hard way that not to always be talking, but to listen. And believe it or not, it comes,
You're a good listener.
But yeah. So definitely, that is pretty awesome. We have a question from Paul on LinkedIn. How challenging has it been to navigate the eviction moratorium rules? Are you surprised Congress hasn't done much with this? Is this affecting your residents? Elaine, do you want to? I have nothing to say on this.
That's a lot. So it's obviously impacted our business. We're in the DC area. We don't know when courts open up. I know several L&T attorneys. They're not sure what it's going to look like. I'm thinking it's going to look like a mess. We're anticipating the worst and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely surprised that government has not stepped in and provided more support and or resources and or potential solutions for some of these folks, because we're fortunate we don't have that many people that are going to be in that process, but there are people that will be impacted, and it will be very heartbreaking for all of us, especially when there's situations where people don't really have the money, are really struggling, and that's going to be super heartbreaking for us.
Absolutely. I mean, because the one thing I definitely am proud of our industry is that we are empathetic. We are caring individuals. Yes, we have to run a business, but all of us, it doesn't matter whether you're owner, operator, or you're on the supplier side, like we want to do the right thing, and at the right thing for not just our residents, but the right thing for our clients, in your, like for your for your team, for your company, everybody.
Right.
Like it's, we're taking the high road, trying to do the best that we can do. And so, yeah, it is kind of crazy. Like,
and we have a responsibility to try to keep all of our people employed, which we've done. But should further constraints put on us financially, it gets harder and harder. Definitely concerned for all of us to be mindful, because we've seen month over month those collection numbers nationally take a hit. So, when people start realizing what the volume is, I think maybe more people will get involved and present solutions. But right now, we don't really see we just see a whole lot of chaos.
Yeah. Everybody's holding on, right? And for whatever, like for me, I'm just holding on to not watch the news so I can just go get my mom and get things situated. Everybody's different as to what they're sensitive about. And, as an industry as a whole, I know we're all just holding on, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And, hats off to you guys for keeping everyone employed and working with your residents and doing everything you guys are doing, because I know it's a time of difficult decisions that nobody wants to make like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially it's, to us, it's part of our core business philosophy is, be connected, be part of our family, take good care of people, be caring, kind. All those things are part of how we were made up, right?
Yeah.
Like this company. So for us, it really strikes hard, and, hopefully there's some solutions, and, and everyone's scenarios hopefully change for the better.
Yeah, definitely.
At a time.
For sure. Well, thank you, Paul, for your question. Laura says from our previous words of stalking, she says term research over stalking is awesome. So we agree with you, Laura.
We agree,
Uh,
yes.
so we will choose the next. If you want to pick the, can you see? I also put hashtags on there and numbers so that that way, if the colors look the same, which sometimes they do.
Yeah, yellow's good.
Okay, the yellow. Ha ha! Technology. Okay, so my technology question, well, it's kind of, let me see. Mine is more around, well, technology. Is there one set of technology that has helped certain platform or hardware, software, doesn't matter, that has helped you and or your company collaborate more, better, you know, and what is it?
So I would say a couple things. So our property management software we love because it's super flexible. It's Entrada. It
Okay.
helps pivot extremely easy. We also had RealLink in place already.
Mm-hmm.
So that was super helpful for our teams to pivot, provide virtual
Mm-hmm.
video tours. We had Matterport in place. So we had a couple of those things in place.
Mm-hmm.
As far as collaboration, Zoom GoToMeeting really has been our go-to thing.
Yeah.
But we just migrated last week
Uh-huh.
to Microsoft Teams.
Oh,
So
okay.
just starting to work through that. Super excited about that because it seems fairly easy. I haven't gotten super, really
Yeah.
deeply involved in it, but for us, having the opportunity to see people's facial expressions,
Yeah.
people's body language has really been important to us. So not
Yeah.
call because initially we were doing daily calls when all this started.
Yeah.
Then we transitioned to twice a week, and now we're once a week calls with the community directors. And then there's other calls that happen, but all
Yeah.
senior team. And it's just really helpful to see people's faces because sometimes people are feeling a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and you can read it on their face, and you can stop
Yeah.
and say, "Okay, what's going on?"
Yeah. Or if they're not looking at you, or they're
Right.
they're super distracted, I feel you can there when you know that person well enough and you've worked with them and you've spent plenty of time in person with them, you can definitely sense the disconnect via virtually, via, Zoom or team meetings. And even when you don't spend a lot of time with that person and you've had Zoom meetings a lot, you definitely can tell when they're just off or they're not into it. There's something going on. So
Yeah,
that's
and I
good for
think
you guys.
burnout is a real thing right now for
Yeah,
everybody. So
absolutely.
you see that person's face, like just ready to like have a meltdown. You can say, you know what? Let's recap another time, or let's
Yeah,
go to something else, something maybe that's not as stressful or as a heavy lift as whatever you're talking about.
yeah.
Really helpful too. So just being able to read people's body language has been extremely helpful.
Yeah, I good for you. It definitely is. I value that when people can just tell, and I'm more open and honest, especially during COVID, because I'm juggling with my mom. That hey, if it's not good, if it's not a good, because I don't want to stress her out. I don't want to stress myself out. Like it's no different like than you having three kids going off.
Right.
Getting them settled. Everybody has something going on in their home. It doesn't matter if it's a human or it's an animal. Like it's important
Yeah,
to them, right? And even if it's
absolutely.
just themselves, like we have to be more empathetic and understanding that our worlds are different. Like our time is so different that we're all hypersensitive with everything else that's going on. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's really good. Well, I'm going to ask one last question, and it has to be social media related because I just want to. Um, when did you get on the Facebook, as my boyfriend likes to call it, and when were you sold on any kind of social media for your company or communities? Like, do you
Oh
remember
my God,
when?
it was in my previous life, and I will tell you that we tried. I was not a believer. Um,
Okay,
I had a hard in the very beginning. I had a hard time justifying it. I would see people doing it.
but wait a minute, you were on Facebook though, right? As an individual, right? Just not in
I
business.
I was, but I was late to the gamer
You
myself.
were.
Um, but I just didn't see people. There were so many people looking for apartments in places we knew, right? We're
Okay.
fortunate because we're in the DMV area, right? Washington, D.C. There's always people coming here. So it
Yeah.
was hard for me to justify the dollar amounts that people were
Uh-huh.
spending and the amounts you had to spend to get noticed.
Mhm.
Is a known, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now, fast forward into where we are today. For us, it's a big part of it. Just our reach from a community standpoint, really.
Yeah.
And Facebook's done some things because, and everybody's scared, right? Because a lot of companies have gotten the letter like, we're suing you. You didn't have your parameters set correctly. So
What?
people are leery of that.
You
Uh,
get sued for not having your parameters set correctly?
well, because you're targeting a certain persona.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
Okay.
that's part of that fair housing face
Okay.
lawsuit. So I think everyone's gotten a little leery of that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, social media is, especially now, I get those reminders saying, like, your average screen time went up 20% this. I'm like, 20%? What's it doing? Um, but now we're really strategic in where we do things, right? So
Yeah.
if we know a certain, renter profile is always on like ESPN app, like can we figure out how to do that, right?
Yeah.
If they're on a fashion app or a
How
fashion,
how to do direct marketing within that app, right? Yeah.
right. So it's changed a little bit for us. Again, for us, Facebook and LinkedIn are more about the on-site teams creating a sense of community, having a place where people can engage,
Yeah.
not so much advertising
Mhm.
stabilized properties. I will say that's different for lease ups because it's just trying to create awareness. But for the stabilized property, um, we prefer it to be more of a community based product for us.
Yeah. Well, everybody, no matter if you have a company, if you have I'm a big advocate for social media, and I believe that even for people who are employed, like I tell my niece and my nephews who just graduated from college, get on LinkedIn and put in go follow the companies you want to apply for and make thoughtful comments or questions about that. Put
Mhm.
out content. People are still not using LinkedIn the way that they should for personal or business, it doesn't matter. But if you put out content, you definitely have a wider net reach, right? On Facebook, it is now I'm happy to hear you say that the connection with your community, because that's where people will see, other residents that don't live at your community will see that you're interacting with your residents and how you interact with them. Like it's we're Facebook has gotten better, but so have we, with the algorithms and understanding those algorithms. We're not quite all there yet, but um, communicating, like I'm just floored when people or businesses, it doesn't matter, when they don't even respond to any comments on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and they have that out there, right? They've put their
Right.
information out there and they're not responding to anybody, and it's like, why? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's about resources and who's
Yeah.
responsible for it, and if there's clear direction. I mean,
Hmm.
look, we're guilty of it too. And just there's a comment, and we're like, where did that comment come from? Like
Mm,
all of a sudden you go into the manager part of it, and you see like
yeah.
these comments, and they just fell
Yeah.
on nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
it's
and
unfortunate that it does
I didn't know you
happen.
guys. Well, but at least you're saying that, you're putting that out there. I feel like with individuals, like even that are like my niece who's about to graduate from college, she's got a huge following on, it's pretty established, right? Like you should be commenting back on whatever somebody, if they ask you a question, answer their the algorithms are different on all these platforms, but it really is about engaging, and that means answering even if it's a week late. Like Facebook lets you put up auto responding. I suck at the Instagram, checking mine, so I know that feeling. But like, especially now that they brought the tool into the back of Facebook where you can answer both your Facebook and your Instagram right there.
Right.
Like, they've changed things up just in the last 2 months, I feel, or because it definitely looks different. But like, yeah, we need to staying on top of those things as individuals, in our own personal brand, as well as our companies or our properties. It's very, very important. So good for
Yeah.
you
And
for understanding that side of it.
yeah.
um Okay, well, we have, thank you everybody. I don't think we have any more. Thank you, Paul, for our last question. Um, is there any questions is there anything, that you have that's pressing, or you just want to tell people how to get in touch with you? Either one. I'm leaving this
So
forum open.
my middle son would be remiss if I didn't address the they, their, him, she, and just
Ah,
putting it out there that you need to ask people what their pronoun should be. Um, and because he's always correcting me, and I try really hard for his friends and stuff, and it's really difficult for me to remember
uh-huh.
that. But I try, and I understand where people are coming from. It is
Hmm.
respectful if somebody says their name is Elaine, and I'm calling her Heather all the time. That's not really respectful, right? So
Yeah.
same thing. So I just encourage people as you have people coming into your organization or clients that you're dealing with, that you ask those questions and just say, how would you like to be referred to, and use it. So
Well, do you think your middle son would give me an education on that? Because that's
he
something
would,
that
he'd be happy to.
it
Yes.
is it is definitely a topic all by itself. You're not the only person, uh, every company, every business is definitely having to figure that out. And I always like to tell, when my mother says, "What does that mean?" I was like, "Mom, it's like somebody coming up to you and saying and asking you if you're Cuban when you're Mexican. Like, it's really like, I remember when my grandmother used to get upset when we would use the word Mexican. She's like, "I'm an American with Mexican descent." Like, she was uber proud to be born in the United States. She didn't want, because of her generation. So it's a
Yeah.
time that we have to definitely be sensitive or respectful, not even sensitive, respectful to everyone. Like, it doesn't matter. And that is a true hot topic that you could definitely educate us on as well, because, you know, Laura Lestis says, yes, great tip, Elaine.
It's hard.
um,
It is, you have to listen to what people want. And
yes.
to your point of being respectful, I don't, you know, I don't care like who people are, but I'm going to respect them
Hmm.
right off the bat until they
Yeah.
do something for me not to respect them. And that's going to be
Yeah.
something in their actions, not about the way they look,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. How they treat
it,
others. Yeah.
yeah. So anyways,
Absolutely.
but if you have any other questions, you can reach me at edelude@livebe.com. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. And as Kimberly mentioned, Facebook and Instagram.
And we'll
I
put
did.
all of your how to get in touch with you in the comments, or in the
Yeah.
the description side of it. So definitely.
Perfect.
That's awesome. And we'll be on again. We'll have to schedule that with your son. We
Yes.
can even, it would be a great, you and I both having questions for him would definitely be a very entertaining kind kids, and educational, because how old is he now? I remember your
He's
baby.
15.
Oh my gosh. Yes, a 15-year-old, so much insight. We need him.
Yeah. Just ask anybody that has teenagers around them or has
Yeah.
teenagers, just ask them what's going on. They'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you learn. Like, I definitely have learned so much from my younger nieces and nephews. I don't get to see them as much or talk to them as much as I used to, but I definitely used to pick up dance moves from them back in the day. So what's the like
That's where
back
those fancy dance moves came from.
back before there, like, when Musically, before it was TikTok, like, I even knew about Musically because of my 12 and 13-year-old godchildren. Like, it's definitely something that we can learn from. Both we can learn from generations ahead of us and generations behind us, right? Like,
Yeah,
just seeking the knowledge and asking politely, like, explain that to me,
absolutely.
right? For
Yep.
sure. Cool. Well, I thank you again. Thank you everybody for joining us. I will include all of Elaine's information in the description, and we will be here next Friday. I don't know if it'll be Elaine and her son, or if my other guests that will have said yes, but they decide. It depends on the timing. But yes, we will be here every Friday. We're trying to stick to the noon time. If you had a comment and you didn't get to leave it, please leave it now. We'll get to it. If you watch on the replay, tell us where you're watching from. And if you want to be a guest, please leave it in the comments or reach out to myself. Reach out to Elaine if you have a question for her. Please do that, because we just want to share our knowledge and our experiences so that others, can learn from them, right? It's no good if we just keep all that knowledge to us, right? So we definitely will be here every Friday. And until next week, remember, sharing is caring. Stay kind, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Be
Elaine. I
kind.
appreciate. Yeah, that should be end of the hearts.